Halo on the Steam Deck. We're doing Halo the Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite. So what's on the Halo Master Chief Collection, you might ask? Well, Halo Reach, Halo CE Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, 3 ODST, 4, and Halo 5 is not on PC, so we don't have it here, unfortunately, I guess. For some people it might be something good that is not here. But keep in mind, when you install every campaign without taking into account the multiplayer, this game is 100 gigabytes. So yeah, make sure you have enough space to install all this. Let's get into it. Alright, so before getting started, these are the settings that I use for the entire Master Chief Collection, 800p, and here FOV, I think the default is fine for a handheld. FPS limit is basically 120, you can go 60, 120, 180, 240 or unlimited. Actually, let's keep it at unlimited because we have a 90Hz screen and SteamOS already locked it to 90Hz. Then when it comes to settings, everything is higher except in shadows, those are normal just to be able to target 90 FPS. And then just hit X and you'll apply all these to every game from the Halo Master Chief Collection. So yeah, you can toggle between new and old graphics. So old graphics, something like this, 90 FPS, no problem, probably over 4 hours of battery easily. And then the new graphics, also 90 FPS, but it's probably going to drop, yeah, here we see it. As soon as action picks up, we get either CPU or GPU bound. So yeah, if you use the old graphics, expect, again, 90s across the board with very little CPU usage. But if you're on the new graphics, probably 2.5 to 3 hours of battery. I'll probably lock it to 60 if I wanted more battery life. Just go into the scene menu and you'll be good to go. But it works well. And scroll all the way down to 60 and you'll magically have more battery life. It's not magic, by the way. So here is probably more towards the 4 hours of battery thing. Takes a bit of time to update the remaining time of the battery. But this is a more demanding part, to say it in some way. Bye! So yeah. Anyway, 60s for maximum battery life, 90s for more smoothness, but less battery life. So now on a Halo 2 Anniversary Edition, as you can see, graphics are pretty good. You have even your own shadow. If you hit old graphics, it looks very different, but you can do pretty consistent 90s. The thing is, in this level, as you guys told me, there are performance drops, sometimes into the 40s. So as soon as you get more towards the middle of the level, you're going to see those drops. And I hit a friendly. Whoops, I'm sorry. So again, old graphics, new graphics. The old graphics, again, not an issue. It's completely fine. Just explosions left and right. Not an issue whatsoever. But again, personally, I'll just keep it at 60. Just for battery life purposes. Unless I don't care about battery, I'm mine close to a power source. And if you want the old graphics, just hit this button and you'll be fine. Way longer battery life, of course. So yeah, Halo 2 is fine, but in some of the later levels, like this one, Metropolis, and a couple other ones, it'll be dropping into the 40s at times. Because of the amount of stuff on screen, the amount of geometry, so keep that in mind. But otherwise, it works completely fine. Other than those 3 levels, you should be good. So yeah, here I'm seeing drops into the 40s, probably the effects close to the camera. But I mean, there's explosions, there is flying stuff, enemies attacking me with vehicles. And with the old graphics, it's completely fine. Now we're doing Halo 3. Many of you guys told me that this is your favorite one, but it works pretty well. The thing is, it drops below 90 like the other ones. I don't even know the controls. The controls are borked, I think. I think I screwed something up. Anyway. So as I was saying, it runs pretty well. It drops below 90 when we are engaging the enemy. So personally, just for performance reasons, for battery reasons, I'll lock it to 60. And it's more consistent, basically. So this should give you, with 60 frames, basically 3.5, 4 hours of battery, give or take. It highly depends on the area, but overall, I'd say it's completely fine. It's Halo 3 portable. In my opinion, that's pretty good. There we go, thanks for the gun. And 60s really feels completely fine, in my opinion. There are some drops into the 50s at times, but it's not the norm. Ocean, there you go, done. Reduce 2 atoms. Get back here. Thank you, sir. So yeah, I will look into 60, this one. And no, there is no new and old graphics. It's all just graphics. So this one, I didn't even know it existed personally when I started playing Master Chief Collection. I thought it was DLC for Halo 3, which probably was when it was being developed, I guess. But this one works better than anticipated. Oh, that's not the crouch button. So yeah, this one should have similar issues to Halo 3 when it comes to those performance decreases when attacking enemies, but seems to be running better overall. At least for the little that I played of it. So again, for battery life purposes, I'll just lock it to 60. But 90s feels super smooth on this one. It doesn't seem to be using all that much GPU, actually, which is a good sign. So Halo 3 ODST, not a bad idea to give it a shot on this one if you're interested. And again, seems to be running better than the other ones. So yeah, I don't have much to say about this one. Personally, just 60s for more battery life. But this one doesn't seem to be any demanding at all. So yeah, seems pretty easy to run. Anyway. Ooh, I can fly. Let's jump into the next one, shall we? But good guy, ODST. Now we're doing Halo Reach. Since I played this one the most, I would say, on PC at least, this is the part where I drop frames the most. As you can see, you can drop below 90 pretty easily when engaged in combat. But again, it doesn't drop below 60 like on Halo 2 Anniversary Edition. So this one, just for consistency's sake, and again, battery life, I'll probably lock it to 60. Because when you're in combat like this, it can drop pretty hard. And by pretty hard, I mean from 90 to mid-60s. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it feels a bit inconsistent when it comes to that. But hey, this game still looks great. I'm pretty impressed. So yeah. Parts in combat like this will drop into the mid-60s. So from the 90s to the 60s. But I don't think it's a huge deal, personally. These games are more than fine at 60 FPS, in my opinion. So I pause the game. Once again, we lock it to 60. Boom. And it should stay there basically across the board, even in combat. Still, the frame times are a bit spiky at times, especially when new enemies show up. Maybe something loads very quickly. I'm not entirely sure why that happens. But this will give you more battery life, definitely.
Stand down, Noble. Stand down.
Okay, more combat now. Good. Yeah, as soon as combat starts, the frame times get spiky. This also happened on the LCD Steam Deck, actually. So I'm not super surprised, but it seems to be something to do with the game itself. So while 90s, it's nice, it doesn't stay there for long. Doesn't seem to be a GPU issue, seems more like a CPU thing on how the game uses the CPU. But it's still pretty enjoyable. If I didn't have the FPS counter on, I probably wouldn't notice. Alright, so now Halo 4.
Plenty. Why?
Looks like a big step up from Halo 3, definitely. And Reach. I'm actually pretty impressed with the visuals on this one. Although it kind of bothers me to have the helmet on screen at all times. But hey, good stuff. Okay, now we got driving, awesome. We gotta stress test it a little bit further. I'm guessing, if I remember correctly, this one also liked to drop below 90 when there's combat, like I mentioned in Halo Reach.
But since you brought it up, it is possible that getting home could help me find a solution for my ramping.
But this one overall seems to be fine. And also on this one there's no old and new graphics. It's just graphics. So I think 90s for this one should be good most of the time. But for more battery life, maybe lock it to 60. Alright, now we're getting into combat. Awesome. Let's jump out of the vehicle. Whee! Dead with these 2 atoms. Okay, yeah, it drops into the upper 70s. I don't think it's a big deal, but it's noticeable. Oops, no more grenades. Okay, so these 2 atoms. So yeah, Halo 4 will drop a bit below 90, but again, for maximum battery life, 60s, that should give you a big boost when it comes to how much battery, as I said in the previous ones. And I can shoot them from afar. So I think 60s is perfectly acceptable in a game like this, honestly. A weapons empty. Great. So nothing to complain about. Some erratic frame times at times when I'm getting shot at, but otherwise completely fine. No big deal. A great experience if I say so myself. For Halo Infinite, in the settings, properties, DLC, make sure that the high resolution textures are not enabled, otherwise there's a huge performance penalty. First we're going to start with the campaign, and in the campaign I'm actually playing at low settings with dynamic resolution and HDR on. So HDR actually enables itself, which is good. 800p, minimum frame rate of 30, that means that if it drops below 30, it'll enable dynamic resolution. And we basically have low settings. Alright, we're heading outside. This is the first time you go outside in the game, actually. Look at that CPU, oh my god, the CPU is crying. It's like, please help! What am I rendering? I'm not the GPU. So on the LCD Steam Deck, it was actually below this. It was more into the low 40s actually, which is good to see. The thing is when you do traversal, so I would personally just put the minimum frame rate to 30 and play like that, but you can also attempt and lock it to 40 from here. So if I enable the frame limit and put it at 40, or maybe 45, because we're on an OLED Steam Deck. With that minimum resolution at 30, it should keep you above 30 across the board. But if you do 45, it feels a bit smoother. The thing is, when you're traversing, you're going to see drops below 40. So I think to be sure, you should lock it to 30. Oh, no more ammo, of course. But it works better than on the Steam Deck LCD. I'm surprised on how CPU intensive it is. I was expecting way less, but it's an open world game, so I kinda get it. The thing is when you're doing world streaming, but the frame times are inconsistent, although again, better than on the LCD Steam Deck obviously, especially if we were CPU limited. Now that we've got faster memory, it kinda makes sense, actually. So yeah, not much else to talk about in the campaign. Personally, again, I would recommend 40, 45. In more open sections, which is traversing around, it will drop quite significantly. So I advise you to, again, maybe lock it to 30. Initial missions, 40, 45. But this game also has multiplayer, so we're going to test that next. Personally, the campaign, I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. But on the Steam Deck, I'll probably just lock it to 30 to have a more consistent experience. Especially, again, when it comes to traversal, it can get pretty low. I mean, already not traversing at all, it's almost maxing out the CPU, which is hilarious if you think about it. What about doing dynamic resolution 45 FPS? It doesn't work particularly amazing, especially when CPU limited. Yeah, look at that CPU usage, and there's a few enemies on screen and some explosions. So yeah, let's go multiplayer and see what happens. Alright, so now we're doing multiplayer in a smaller, of course a smaller map. It's not like an open world like in the campaign. And this training mode is basically versus bots. Max frame rate is set to 60, we have a minimum of 30. That means the dynamic resolution turns on as soon as we hit below 30 FPS. I think for multiplayer you should probably target 60s, considering the maps are smaller and all that. But if you're playing big team battle, you're going to have quite a few performance issues. Luckily, there's not a lot of people playing big team battle, so you're probably going to do smaller maps like this. So instead of having a minimum of 30, put it at 60. That means that the dynamic resolution will engage in order for you to hit 60 FPS. And now the game looks softer, but it's way smoother when it comes to the frame rate. I hate not being able to double jump. I'm playing too much Doom. I'm so used to double jump. Again, I'm playing against bots, so it's probably going to be a little bit better when you're playing a small match in real life. If you didn't know, the multiplayer for Halo Infinite is free. So yeah, you can actually play this without paying, which is awesome in my opinion. I think the multiplayer is fine. If you want to do a few rounds with your friends in a smaller map like this, I think it's completely doable. And you can actually hit 60s, which I think is pretty impressive, all things considered. The thing is, the campaign can drop as low as 30 when traversing. When you're fighting, it's mostly 40 to 45 with dynamic resolution. But on the multiplayer, in smaller maps like this, anything that is not big team battle, you should be good to go with a dynamic resolution targeting 60. If you do these settings on the campaign, you're not hitting 60s. Especially when traversing. The dynamic resolution cannot fix the CPU limitation we have in the open world, unfortunately. So the entire Halo franchise on Steam Deck, I'm pretty impressed with the Master Chief Collection actually. It's so easy to just download 100 gigabytes of campaigns and you can play basically every game in the franchise excluding Halo 5. That one was never ported to PC. Those games also have multiplayer built in, if you download it, of course. But if you're looking for campaigns from the 360 era and before, it's completely fine. You can also play Halo Infinite if you want to, but I don't think most people are interested. Again, the one that is missing is Halo 5. I think the campaign for Infinite is a lot of fun. I played the entire way through it when it came out, so I had a good time with it. On the Steam Deck though, it feels more like the Xbox One version, which is not a bad thing. We are basically at 30 FPS in the campaign for the more consistent experience. But it's still playable. Just put it on low, disable the HD textures, and you should be good. Personally, I loved Halo Reach on this device. And if you want to do 90 FPS, it's fine. There will be some drops when in combat. But overall, I mean, it feels super smooth. For battery life purposes, you can lock it to 60, the other ones, I mean, the ones that are not Halo Infinite. And you have good battery life, plus a more consistent frame rate. You won't be dropping below 60. Except in on Halo 2, there is 1 or 2 missions that have issues with the performance. But on those, just lock it to 45 and you should be good to go. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know which is your favorite Halo game and which one you're playing on your Steam Deck, if you forgot that these games are on Steam. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see ya next time. Bye guys.